No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Well, folks, my apologies, but we've waited 40-something years to celebrate the Winnipeg Jets as President's Trophy winners. So I hope an extra 30 minutes is reasonable as well. Again, my apologies for the delay. It is on me. The Passover dinner, it is Passover. It went a little bit long. I didn't quite get home in time. Ezra was responsible and punctual and everything else.
You didn't think you'd ever say that, did you, Drew?
I honestly, my whole belief system is completely turned upside down. But we are here, and I will say good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live tonight on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show, where we are celebrating tonight the Winnipeg Jets and their accomplishment, and it is an accomplishment, a significant accomplishment, as the President's Trophy winning team for the entirety of the 2024-25 NHL season. Ezzy, good evening. Thank you again for your patience and your diligence tonight. I mean, again, this is going to be a bit of a different post-game show than usual. We might not do the Betway game recap because the game ultimately was terrible. And we'll talk, of course, about Dylan Samberg. And that's the big, question mark after the end of the game. And we know what Scott Arniel said. He said that he thinks our, Samberg looks like he's going to be okay, which is the headline.
Well, and that's huge, right, Drew? Like just him saying those few words, saying that I think he's going to be okay, I think gave a lot of Jets fans relief, because I think there were a lot of Jets fans that were crossing their fingers, maybe sitting on their fingers, getting really nervous because obviously Nikolai Ehlers left last night's game. So that's 2 games in a row where key players for the Jets have left the game. But yeah, we'll get into that after. But it looks like it's not a broken foot like it was earlier in the season.
And again, we will talk about it throughout the course of tonight's post-game show. But as the result was with Columbus beating Washington again for the second half of their back-to-back, 2 straight nights that the Columbus Blue Jackets have done a favor for the Winnipeg Jets in defeating the Washington Capitals, it became apparent in the third period of tonight's game that the Jets weren't themselves going to get the result that they wanted, but Washington was not going to get the result they needed. And as a result, mathematically, the Winnipeg Jets have clinched the President's Trophy for the first time in franchise history. And it's an accomplishment. And I know that the only thing that matters is the Stanley Cup. And, 10 days from now, 2 weeks from now, if the Jets flame out early, everyone is going to be ripping their hair out. I guess I'll rip out my eyebrows at that point in time, given the lack of anything on top. But for today, for the here, for the now, for all those people who have lived and died with the Winnipeg Jets, era 1.0, era 2.0, this is something that is history. It's a historic night, from my perspective, and I don't want to gloss it over, and I don't want to lose the forest through the trees for what the Winnipeg Jets have accomplished this season.
It's a huge deal, Drew. You just mentioned it. It's the first time the Jets have won it in 1.0 or 2.0 history. It means they're the best team in the regular season, and it's been 13 or 14 years since a Canadian team has won the President's Trophy.
Yes,
we talked about that last night. Vancouver won it back in 2011, 2012, or 2012, 2013.
Yeah,
one of those years.
I think it was 11-12, but yes, you're right.
There you go. So it's been a while for a Canadian team, and it's obviously been much longer since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. So I think, everyone knows that that's the big prize that the Jets are after here, but it's a big deal. You've mentioned it. We've talked about it. Banners fly forever. Mm-hmm. It's just a nice thing. And Nino Niederreiter, I'm not sure if you caught that, but he was interviewed. They showed it on TSN after the game. And, he was saying that, the Jets were following the Capitals Columbus game in the dressing room. So for all of this talk that, the players and the coaching staff, they're not invested in winning the President's Trophy. That's absolute BS. The Jets wanted that President's Trophy, and they got it, by the way, even though they lost tonight's game to the Edmonton Oilers. But, a little bit of a shout out to Sean Monahan, who picked up an assist, helping his old team out, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's a big deal. And going back to what I just said, the Jets want the Stanley Cup. That's what they're most interested in. So the President's Trophy is nice, but we know the real season's going to begin in 6 or 7 days. But it's just a testament to the season that they've had. Jets start the season off 15-1, and they really never look back from there. So it's a time to celebrate in Winnipeg and beyond for Jets fans. And it's something that nobody can take away from you, regardless of what happens in the playoffs. That banner is always going to be flying inside of Canada Life Center.
And no question will that banner be a little bit more hollow and a little bit more empty if the Jets go out early in the playoffs. And there's no question, and no one's going to be celebrating it that significantly if the season ends poorly. But for now, it is absolutely an achievement. I see the people in the chat, and we've put some of the comments up on the screen, that people who have been here, who have, new fans, old fans, whatever year you happen to be born, whatever year you happen to adopt the Winnipeg Jets as your rooting interest, you can feel pride in this.
Sure.
I mean, the players are saying what the players you would expect them to say. That's what you expect them to say. Dylan DeMello, not a huge President's Trophy guy, is what Muratash said. His tweet, quote, "This is Dylan DeMello. It's not the trophy we're after, but it's a nice accomplishment. We've got our sights set on higher things." I mean, again, no surprise there. Not nobody's planning a parade. None of the Jets players are satisfied with this.
I like that comment. Sorry, from Dane Johnson, calling it the Prime Minister's Trophy.
Sure, we can call it the Prime Minister's Trophy if you want. I'm good with that, Dane. We can rename it. That's totally fine. But what it is, it's to your point, Ezzy. All season, from game 1 of 82, the Winnipeg Jets have been, the best team in this league.
Yeah.
They started the year that way. Any blip that they had was so minute that, honestly, I'd have to look, but were the Jets ever, lower than second overall in the entire NHL this season?
I don't think so. No, maybe third. Yeah, but for the most part, like you said, Drew, they have stayed there. Yeah. And they've held off the likes of the Dallas Stars and the Colorado. Like, it took the Jets, let's not, forget that it took the Jets until yesterday to clinch the Central Division.
Right.
Like, they're the President's Trophy winners, and it took them
one day after winning
game 80.
One day after winning the Central Division.
Yeah, so let's not forget, how dangerous the Central Division is. There's a good chance the Western Conference representative in the Stanley Cup final comes from the Central Division. The Jets know that they're most likely going to have to beat one of Dallas or Colorado to get there. So, it remains to be seen who they're going to play in the first round. We were talking about it right before we went live. There's still a small chance Calgary can still grab that second wild card spot. But at the end of the day, Drew, I know we talked about it on yesterday morning's Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Like, the way the Jets have been playing just in the last few weeks, I don't think they care who they play in the first round, whether it's the Wild, whether it's the Blues, or whether it's the Flames. I think, the Jets are going to be the heavy favorite in the first round, whoever they're playing.
There's no question about it. And then, of course, the health of Nikolai Ehlers and the health of Dylan Samberg are going to be subject matter and topics of discussion over the next 5 days. And frankly, and I know what Scott O'Neill said, and I know that everyone wants to take him for his word. And I hope that he's right. But until I think any of us see Dylan Samberg back on the ice practicing with the Winnipeg Jets, this is the time of the year where coaches and teams might not be all that forthcoming as it pertains to injuries. So until you see Dylan Samberg on the ice for practice, it might not be Tuesday, might not be Wednesday, but Thursday or Friday, that's when I think you can breathe that sigh of relief and say Samberg is going to be there for game 1. And until you see Nikolai Ehlers back on the ice, and ready to go, that's when you can sort of breathe that sigh of relief. Because I've been around, and we've all been around for too long. And remember, when Oilers missed the first 5 games or 4 games of the Vegas series after the injury that he suffered in Minnesota, he was going to be fine for game 1 until he wasn't on the ice for pregame warmup. So I'm saying to everybody that, yes, just, yes, we know what Scott Arniel said. He said that he thinks that Soundberg is going to be fine, but things can change and situations can change. So let's hope for the best from Dylan Soundberg's perspective, because he deserves to be there for game 1. And it dramatically changes any first round series the Jets are participating in if they don't have Dylan Soundberg, and of course, if they don't have Nikolai Ehlers as it.
Yeah, well, what about Natalie just giving us $10 without a comment? You got to love that,
Natalie.
Drew. Thank you, Natalie.
Very generous of you.
We'll put that in the Illegal Curve rainy day fund for maybe a couple of beers on the patio. We appreciate that.
My kids found the Afikomen at Passover dinner, so I had to dig deep in my pocket to give them some cash. So Natalie is compensating me in return for that. There's probably very few people in the audience who actually know what that means, but for those of you who do, there you go.
Yeah, it's hiding the matzah for the young children.
Exactly.
For those who don't know about it. Yeah,
perfect. But you hide the matzah and you let the kids go find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just getting back to the injuries that you were talking about, Drew, I'm a lot more worried. And I'm not trying to increase the anxiety levels among Jets fans here, but just going back to what happened tonight with Sandberg, I mean, it was eerily similar to him blocking the Steven Stamkos shot in Nashville, right?
The one that broke his foot and put him out.
Exactly. And it was the same foot. And then there was some speculation because there was some speculation whether it was the foot or whether it was the knee. The reality is he was helped off the ice and he was favoring his left leg. So it's left leg. So again, what Drew is trying to say here to everybody who's watching and listening on the podcast is just be patient, because we don't know. Scott Arniel said we're going to find out more on Tuesday. So let's just wait until Tuesday.
And he tried to say, he was saying that he thinks that, Sandberg should be okay. He thinks, there's a lot of room there between he is and he thinks and things of that nature. I mean, that's where I just sort of caution everyone before saying for sure that Sandberg is going to be fine. The Jets just came out with their media schedule for the week. They're off tomorrow, no surprise there. And they're practicing at the Hockey for All Center on Tuesday, at least scheduled to practice on Tuesday at 11 a.m. If Dylan Sandberg is there on Tuesday, you can breathe a bigger sigh of relief. If, he's not, the circumstances change. The story changes a little bit.
Absolutely. And with Nikolai Ehlers, I mean, it was a freak accident. And Drew, you mentioned a couple of years ago when the Jets played the Golden Knights in the first round. I mean, it would just be a crushing blow to the Winnipeg Jets if Ehlers is out for any significant amount of time. And we don't know that for sure, but I think it's safe to say there's a good chance that he's not going to be playing on Wednesday against the Ducks, just based on what happened. And we'll have to wait and see. And look, we've said this so many times over the years. Injuries are bound to happen, especially in a long playoff run. It's just unfortunate that these injuries have happened in back-to-back nights. But these are key players. So again, hopefully that's not going to happen where either of these guys are going to be out for a significant amount of time. But if Ehlers is going to be out of the lineup, well, that means a guy like Nino Niederreiter, he'll have an increased role because he's been playing with Cole Perfetti and Vlad Nemestikov, and he's been doing a really good job. So the Jets have depth. I think, for all the fans that are really worried now, just remember, I mean, this is a team that can move a guy like Alex Iafallo up to the top line. They can move Niederreiter up to the second line. Morgan Barron can move over to center and excel. They have, guys like Colin Miller and other depth players that can step in if a defenseman goes down. So we'll just wait and see. But yes, it would be just completely it would just be terrible if Ehlers is going to be out for any significant amount of time. Same thing goes for Sandberg, but I will take Scott Arniel at his word. It did sound like, it's not as bad as it originally looked.
Yeah, Corey also contributing to the super chat, giving us $10, saying what Natalie was going to say, which was that Natalie would have said that she is so happy that the Jets got to the conference and the President's Trophy, and hoping Sandberg is going to be okay too. So thank you, Corey, for that super chat contribution. Very generous of you. Again, we appreciate it from everybody. Not necessary. We do this without needing the super chats, but we don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth And we say thank you very much to everybody who
college is expensive, Drew. We're going to put that in the kids' college fund, right?
There you go. Exactly right. And of course, for those of you who don't super chat contribute, that's fine. But what you need to do is you need to smash the like button. You need to subscribe to the channel, and you need to turn your notifications on, because there is so much Illegal Curve content coming your way after Wednesday. So Wednesday, there's going to be a post-game show like usual. It's a meaningless game against the Anaheim Ducks. We know that, but we'll still be here to talk about it. We can't do 81 regular season games without doing game number 82. So we'll be back on Wednesday for that. And then next weekend, we don't know the schedule yet. Anybody who tells you that they know the schedule, frankly, they're lying. They don't know the schedule. Nobody knows when the Jets are going to start. We don't know if it's going to be Saturday. We don't know if it's going to be Sunday. But what we do know for sure is that the Illegal Curve Hockey Show will be on Saturday morning. And then before Game 1, whenever Game 1 is, the Illegal Curve pregame show live at City Place. And, of course, here on our social media platforms. That'll be happening before Game 1. And then, of course, the post-game show following Game 1, following Game 2, the pre-game show before Game 2 as well. So much Illegal Curve content coming your way over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, 2 months, however long this run ends up going for.
I don't know how much you've been following Mike McIntyre's X/Twitter account, but he seems to think there's a good chance it's going to be Saturday. And it's funny, Drew, because there was a lot of discussion in the chat yesterday when Connor and I were doing the post-game show. A lot of chat about people talking about, well, you can't cancel Bachman-Turner Overdrive. You're in the entertainment business, Drew. They can cancel Bachman-Turner Overdrive. If it's for the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, they'll make it happen.
You know, selfishly, I was looking at the schedule and I cross-referenced it. You know, I knew that Thursday, there's a concert at the arena. Friday is Nelly and Ja Rule and Chingy. And so I knew that the playoffs were going to start as early. The earliest day the playoffs was going to start was Saturday. So I looked at the calendar. I looked at the, True North, the Canada Life Center calendar, and I said, great, BTO is playing on Saturday. Well, that means the Jets won't play on Saturday. They're going to play on Sunday. So I'm going to schedule my anniversary dinner with Laura for the Saturday night, thinking ahead, thinking how smart I'd be, get it all, put it in the calendar, knew there wasn't going to be a conflict. So I'm really hoping that it starts on Sunday, because Laura and I are celebrating our wedding anniversary on Saturday night with dinner, and I do not want there to be a conflict on that front.
Yeah, well, I don't know, Drew. You might have to be postponing that dinner, because Saturday looks like it could be the day, but we'll wait and see. I think it might have something to do also if it's a Central Division matchup or if it's Calgary versus Winnipeg. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
I saw Mike's look, television rules all.
Right.
And so the first round, is going to be in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be Toronto against Ottawa. That's basically locked in there.
Hey, Drew, sorry to cut you off. The money is really flowing here. Like Chris Merrills has stepped it up here with $20, trying to maybe get himself an Illegal Curve too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we appreciate it. Now that's what is that, $40 or $50 now? So that's pretty good.
That's right. And T. Konopoli I don't even know what that is. Some sort of weird emoji is what I can see. But I thank you anyways for the super chat contribution, everybody. Anyways, going back to what I was saying, and as you can tell, folks, this is not going to be your typical Illegal Curve post-game show.
It's actually turned into an Illegal Curve telethon.
Yeah, we might not even do the game recap. We're just having some fun with everybody on a Sunday night celebrating the President's Trophy Winnipeg Jets. But TV matters most, and Rogers, which just paid the NHL $88 billion or whatever the number exactly is.
It's not a real number.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to want Toronto and Ottawa on Saturday night.
Yep.
On Hockey Night in Canada. And, I heard this argument, and I respect what Mike is saying on this, and I understand that, yes, Toronto plays on Thursday, and yes, Ottawa plays on Thursday, but that's the Marlies and the Belleville Senators are playing on Thursday for those two teams. That's not everything is sealed. Everything is clinched at that point in time. So I don't really buy that just because Ottawa and Toronto are playing on Thursday doesn't mean that they can't start on Saturday.
Sure.
Just the same. Now, famous last words.
That sounds like a guy who wants to go for his anniversary dinner.
Absolutely right. It's a guy who wants to go for his anniversary dinner. So I might be trying to speak it into existence more than anything else. But, anyways, television will. So anybody who tells you that they know the series is going to start Saturday, or the series is going to start Sunday, or the series is going to get moved to Moose Jaw because there's an arena conflict, they don't know what the hell they're actually talking about, is what I would say the long and the short of it is. And when the schedule comes out, probably Thursday, I would think, unless everything gets settled and clinched before that, in terms of who has home ice advantage and everything else, we will, of course, know, and we will bring it to you live here on the Illegal Curve post-game show on illegalcurve.com and on all of our social media channels. I do find it interesting, though, that if they're moving BTO, I got an email today offering BTO tickets. They're doing a promo for BTO tickets, and it still says Saturday. So if you're planning on moving that concert, well, today's Sunday. That's 6 days away from now. You might want to give people a little bit of a heads up. I would argue at that point in time. Again, we are digressing a little bit, though, Ezzy.
Yeah, and again, we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to most likely be Saturday or Sunday. I don't believe it would start Monday, Drew, if I'm not mistaken. That seems to be the consensus, that the Jets are going to start the round one next weekend. But I mean, who cares what day it is at the end of the day? Like, I would, in an ideal world, just for we had the comment up from our buddy Rob Mahoney. He was saying that, I hate BTO fans. Obviously, I don't. But I mean, there are a lot of people that will want to go see that concert. There's also a lot of people, I think, that have tickets to that concert that will also have tickets to the Jets playoff game, right? So I think people will understand either way. But I mean, at the end of the day, what matters most is the Jets lose tonight's game, but they more importantly win the President's Trophy, and they have home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. And it goes back to what we said earlier, Drew. I mean, it's been I guess that's 12 years now since a team has won the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup. But Dave M, I'll point out, his tweet has gone viral here, and he's put this out there before. In the 37 years since the NHL started handing out the President's Trophy, a team has won the Stanley Cup 8 times, which is more than any other team finishing in a
there's
slot,
no President's
right?
Trophy curse. Basically, what he's
exactly
saying.
It's made up. Look. I mean, it's hard. I think, if anything, what that shows you, the numbers that I just threw out there, is that it shows you how hard it is to win the Stanley Cup. That's what it does, right? So it doesn't matter where you finish, but to say that there's a curse, I mean, just it's not true.
No, of course it's not true. I mean, more often than not, the team that wins the President's Trophy, since they've started to hand out the President's Trophy, has also won the Stanley Cup. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee, but it's definitely a good sign that if you win the President's Trophy, you're a damn good hockey team. You very well might then win the Stanley Cup.
Right, and people are going to throw out, Drew, that,
it hasn't happened in the last 6 years.
Exactly, and people are going to throw out that, Boston lost to Florida in the first round the year they won it, or Tampa Bay
Columbus.
That was, what was that, 2018, I believe, or 2019. So, I mean, this is all just, you're just throwing things out there that
it's like an announcer's jinx. It doesn't exist.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I think I strongly believe that whoever the Jets play in the first round, they're going to be able to handle them. I'm not saying that it's going to be a sweep.
Right.
I think the Wild or the Blues, or there's a small chance it could be the Flames. I think those teams will put up a fight.
Let's just talk about that for a quick second. I'll give an update on that front. So Calgary is about to put away a victory over the in fact, they have. So Calgary has just defeated the San Jose Sharks tonight. So with that win, Calgary moves within 2 points of the St. Louis Blues and 3 points of the Minnesota Wild. Now, Calgary has a game in hand still on St. Louis and Minnesota. So Calgary has 2 games left to play. St. Louis and Minnesota have 1 game each. Now, Calgary will not have the tiebreaker against St. Louis or against Minnesota. So they will need to outright leap over one of those 2 teams and win to get a wild card spot. The way it boils down to it now is on Tuesday night, Minnesota is in action, and they will be playing against, let me pull it up here. They will be playing against the Anaheim Ducks on Tuesday night. The Utah Hockey Club will be playing against the St. Louis Blues. Simple. If the Blues win, if the Wild win, Calgary's done. Calgary on Tuesday night is playing home to the Vegas Golden Knights. St. Louis and Minnesota both start at 7 o'clock. Calgary will start an hour later. Calgary very well, if Utah does Calgary a favor, if Anaheim does Calgary a favor, if the Flames take care of their own business, Calgary will then have an opportunity on Thursday night. They will next play on Thursday night, and they are going to play against the Los Angeles Kings. If Calgary were to win out Tuesday and Thursday and have St. Louis and Minnesota crap the bed on Tuesday, Calgary would have an opportunity to leapfrog and make it into a playoff spot, thus changing who the Winnipeg Jets may play. It's so much so, in fact, by the way, that Calgary can move all the way up to the first wild card spot. So if they win out and Minnesota and St. Louis lose on Tuesday night, Calgary will finish at 96 points, Minnesota at 95, and St. Louis at 94. So Calgary's victory tonight over San Jose is huge. It puts them in a position where they still have life, and it's really incumbent. It's all about if St. Louis and Minnesota take care of their own business on Tuesday night, and then Calgary may or may not have an opportunity with their with a win on Tuesday and a win on Thursday. So that's where it stands in the wild card race in the Western Conference.
It's pretty crazy that we know how good the Blues have been since the Four Nations break.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that they still haven't clinched a playoff spot and Calgary still has a chance, right? Because I think the Blues are 7-2-1 in their last 10, and the Flames just keep picking up points as well. They're 5-2-3 in their last 10, right? So just incredible. And I love to see it, right? We've said this so many times, Drew, over the years. Like games 81 and 82 of the season for most teams are pretty meaningless. Mm-hmm. But in the Western Conference, you've still got playoff implications. So you love to see it. Obviously, the game on Wednesday night between the Jets and the Ducks for the Jets doesn't matter. And we're going to see more AHL guys. We talked about it on yesterday morning show, right? Like you could see Elias Salamonson, for example. You could see a few other guys play. And obviously, it also has to depend. It depends on the health of Nick Ehlers and Dylan Samberg. Like it's possible the plan was to give Samberg the night off anyways. Mm-hmm. But the
problem is you have to you only have so many people you can call up.
Sure.
And you have to still play the games.
Right.
That's the reality of the situation. I mean, the Jets, truthfully, would rather, I guess they needed to clinch the President's Trophy. So they have no interest in really playing Wednesday's game. They have to play it. They're contractually obligated to do it.
Well, and people have paid money to go see the game.
We remember the game. Remember the game against Seattle. I guess it would have been 3 years ago now, after the game that was postponed due to the snowstorm.
Yes.
After the regular season was over, neither Seattle nor the Jets were playoff teams, if I recall correctly. And they made Seattle fly to Winnipeg to play that game after the regular season ended because people had already paid money for it.
I don't even remember. Did we even do a post-game show after that game?
Sure, because it was Dennis's last game.
Oh, right.
Remember, it was Dennis Bayak retired after that game, and then they, it was sort of a salute to Dennis was the theme of that meaningless game 82 after the regular season had ended. It was like during I think it was the COVID year. Remember when they were playing games, regular season games, when the playoffs had already begun?
Yes.
Just because they had television obligations and things of that nature. It was such a bizarre year.
It was absurd. It was absolutely absurd that was going on. Drew, I just wanted to bring one thing up here because I know we have other stuff to talk about here. But, our buddy Running Man is saying give Comrie Wednesday. It's an interesting idea, right? Because if Hellebuck doesn't play that game, he obviously didn't play tonight, but he played yesterday, then he won't have played a week from now. And I just think it's an interesting thing, to discuss because it's a meaningless game. But do you want Hellebuck to get one last game before Saturday, Sunday when the playoffs get going? It's just interesting. I don't know the answer. I mean, I could see Comrie getting that start. I could see Hellebuck getting that start, but I'm kind of leaning towards Hellebuck.
So it's interesting. I think I saw, I think it was either Mike or it was Ken, either Mike McIntyre or Ken Weave of the Winnipeg Free Press. I don't know if it was a tweet or if it was in their game day newsletter that they publish, the day of every Winnipeg Jets game, that they said that their expectation was that Wednesday's game would actually see a mostly regular Winnipeg Jets lineup because of the sort of rust versus rest debate.
Like Morrissey will be back in, Pionk will be back in, Lowry will be back in. Yeah.
How many days off from game action is too many days off?
Right.
And that's always a very difficult equation for a head coach to balance. I mean, you remember, it's not hockey related, but you remember the Bombers number of years ago clinched the West Division with something like 5 or 6 regular season games left. Just a really silly number. And it was, Mike O'Shea, maybe it wasn't 5 or 6. It might have been 3 or 4. I don't remember exactly. And Mike O'Shea really had a very difficult balancing act about, you want your guys to still sort of have a sharpness to their game, but at the same time, you obviously don't want somebody injured during a meaningless game. So Connor Hellebuyck wasn't even the backup goalie tonight. He, it was Chris Driedger and Eric Comrie. I don't even know if Hellebuyck was in the building tonight, to be perfectly honest. They may have just said to him, stay home, kick your feet up, relax, spend some time with the family.
And maybe they told him, we had the comment up there from, who was it that we had the comment up there? In Oilers We Trust. Like maybe, here, I'll put it up here now. Maybe they just said, go to Thermea today and have a night off.
Maybe very well is the case. It wouldn't surprise me if, you see a timeshare on Wednesday, sort of a very preseason style vibe.
Sure.
Where, Hellebuyck, maybe he comes in and he plays a period or a period and a half. And then Comrie comes in, he plays a period or period and a half. And maybe Chris Driedger comes in and he plays the shootout if it goes that far, whatever it is. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they have some sort of balance to that effect. It is it's a hard situation to navigate because it's relatively unusual, although this year might be the exception given the 4 nations break, but it's unusual that you get 8 days off between games. I mean, so, the Jets obviously want to be at their best for game 1 of the playoffs. I don't know what that means. I don't know how if I was asked, and I can assure you nobody's asking me that actually, has a real opinion on this matter. To me, I would err on the side of caution because we saw what happened to Dylan Samberg tonight. And the word from Scott Arniel is that they think that Samberg's going to be all right. For anybody just joining us tonight on the post-game show, that's the word that they expect that Dylan Samberg it is not going to be something that impacts his availability for the playoffs. That's what they say now. Whether or not that's 100% truth or circumstances change or things, bruises end up being worse than they initially thought, time will tell on that front. To me, I would always err on the side of caution because there's nothing worse than a player getting, injured in a meaningless hockey game that's really being played at half speed.
Well, and further to your point, Drew, about, erring on the side of caution, you have to balance that with, you can't take all of your regulars out of the lineup, especially when you had some of your regulars out of the lineup tonight, right? We mentioned the key ones. Ehlers was injured, but the ones that were healthy scratches were Adam Lowry, Neil Pionk, and Josh Morrissey. And then I guess you'd throw in Connor Hellebuyck there as well, but we know he wasn't going to start, but he didn't dress. As you mentioned, Chris Driedger got the start. So as backup. So most likely all
Luke
of those guys.
Luke Shen also didn't play.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I missed Luke Shen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be missed. So I think there's a good chance that all of the players that were out tonight will be back, or at least some of the players will be back on Wednesday. And so your point
and
is
then
not
other guys will be out of the lineup.
Exactly. And I think that has a lot to do with which guys are and by the way, on the topic of Luke Shen, hopefully he went back to Nashville and saw his family because he's really had a crazy time. We talked to Frank Saravalli, just over a week ago about how Luke Shen hasn't seen his family a lot. So maybe he got to go back to Nashville for another, couple days or whatever. But just wanted to get that in there. But yeah, I mean, it's guaranteed that there's going to be a few regulars sitting out. But again, for everybody watching and listening on the podcast, don't expect 10 Moose players to be called up for that Wednesday game. Expect 2, 3, maybe 4 guys that get rewarded. Elias Salamonson is a guy that I know a lot of people want to see in a Jets jersey for that last game.
Sure.
We'll have to wait and see. Look, Dominic Toninato got into the game tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people expected that necessarily in the second last game of the season. But when you have guys that are resting and Ehlers who's injured, that's what happens. So maybe Toninato gets another game, which would be obviously nice to see for the Moose captain.
Yeah. And obviously we'll know more on Wednesday, and it's all things, again, tomorrow it's an off day for the Jets. They're on the ice on Tuesday at the Hockey for All Center. Coverage on illegalcurve.com. So we'll know more. We'll get more of a glimpse into the status of everybody and the state and the health of, particularly Samberg and of course Nikolai Ehlers. And it's worth noting that, Scott Arniel was asked today about Gabe Vilardi, and Gabe Vilardi, according to Scott Arniel, is still not on the ice. He's not been on the ice. The quote is, "No, not yet. Close, but not yet." So if he still hasn't been on the ice and you're a week away from the playoffs,
it's not looking good like he's going to be playing game one, Drew.
It does not look like good about that. In fact, let's maybe play this bumper, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about that here on the post-game show.
The Play Now game recap.
Like I said, we're not going to do a traditional game recap like we've done for most of the 81 games this year, but nonetheless, we do encourage you to learn to bet with Play Now, and don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead, Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly. Play Now is the title sponsor of all of our programming, and they're going to be getting their money's worth. They already are getting their money's worth. Really going to be getting our money's worth when they get the post-game show, when they get the pre-game show, when they get the Saturday show, and whatever other shows we invent over the course of the next couple days.
Drew, I'll give you a game recap right now. Alex Iafallo scored a power play goal, and aside from that, it was a pretty terrible game.
There you go. That is the Play Now game recap. Hang on. Does Alex Iafallo, he scored a power play goal. Does that mean it's also this?
The Seagram shot of the game.
More like Seagram's rebound of the game, but yes, we only had one Jets goal, so we'll give him the Seagram's shot of the game tonight.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, there was a lot of regulars out of the lineup. Edmonton still can finish second in the Pacific. It's not looking like there's a good chance, so they had somebody to play for. Stuart Skinner, it was his first game in almost a month.
Yeah.
So he obviously has a big night. He didn't face a lot of rubber. I think there were only 17 or 18 shots, but honestly, Drew, I would just kind of sum up this game as there wasn't a lot of offense going on for the Jets. There was an egregious turnover. Iafallo turned over the puck to Connor McDavid on the first goal, the Connor Brown goal, but then he obviously made up for it by scoring on the power play. But then the third goal that was scored by Corey Perry, it was a bad giveaway by Mark Scheifele to Derek Ryan in the neutral zone. So just Scott Arniel, I'm not sure if we're going to play Scott Arniel's presser or not, Drew. If we don't, you can view it on our YouTube channel.
I have it queued up. If you want to play it, I'm happy to play it.
Let's play it.
Okay, that's fine. I almost have it queued up and ready to go, but let me do it right now. Hang on. Now it's of course freezing on me. That's typical.
Well, and the point I was just trying to make about the post-game presser is that he talked about, obviously we're going to hear about Dylan Samberg, which a lot of fans are going to want to hear about. But Scott Arniel called the game sloppy, and it really was. There were just passes that weren't hitting the mark. The Jets were just one step behind. I really liked the Perfetti, Nemesnikov, Niederreiter line tonight. I thought Kyle Connor was galloping and dancing and prancing and doing his thing, but it was just honestly to be expected in the second game of a back-to-back against, after coming back with a couple of big wins in a row. But at the end of the day, this game's meaningless. They've already clinched the President's Trophy, so I don't think anybody's really ever going to look back on this game and really care.
Here's Scott Arniel. Let's hope this works.
Scott, you talked about how you had a list of boxes to check off. Was winning the President's Trophy, was that ever on that list?
No, never. Certainly it kind of jumped on there the last month or so, but at the end of the day, it's a heck of an accomplishment. Guys should be real proud of it. Seeing how we just what we've gone through this year, and to be right in the thick of things all year long as one of the best in the league, it's a heck of an accomplishment. But at the end of the day, it's not really the trophy we're after. We're proud of it. if and when we get to the Stanley Cup Finals, we have home ice advantage as well. So there is something to it.
Obviously, takeaway from tonight's game is seeing Dylan Sandberg go down. I know you said this morning everyone's going to be day to day, so I don't imagine you can get into too much detail.
He's okay. We'll see. We'll see. Be checking on him again tomorrow, but I think we'll be okay.
That's a big relief.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
Yeah. Just on that play, I know there's been some debate. Fans maybe see that and it looks bad and they think the play should be blown dead. I know there is a rule, and you guys would have had to have possession, which they obviously didn't feel you did. And if they don't feel there's imminent danger, if it's not to the face or the head or blood, I mean, do you have any issue with kind of how that rule is?
It's a tough one because if we're sitting on the other side and it's a really big game, big moment, and you have the puck and you're standing in the slot with it, and exactly that, you want them to not blow the whistle. So it's a judgment call, and it's one of those ones that sometimes it's blown early, sometimes it's blown later. He was down for a long time. It'd been nice to see it get called.
Just in terms of Nikolai Ehlers' status, is he just amazing?
Everybody's day to day. Like we're just gonna kind of figure everybody out here. We kind of just came off this 3-game road trip here. Got in late last night. Guys got in today. I haven't got it all. I haven't got all the results on everybody yet. We'll have some more information probably on Tuesday.
Obviously, the President's Trophy isn't what you guys are gunning for by any means, but that moment, that standing ovation from the fans, were you able to kind of take that in, appreciate the support you were getting, or?
Yeah, I know. Obviously, it's really appreciated, and you know what? They've been great fans, and they've been real loud, and they've been supporting us all the way. And believe me, it's felt. We knew what happened at the end of the second period, what the score was in Washington, and but I don't think the players did. I'm not sure if they did or not, but at the end of the day, it's a heck of a recognition. I mean, it's something that it's a great accomplishment, and for the fans to show their support or their appreciation is special. And
the Tanev, Bear and Appleton line was thrown together tonight. What do you think of their play?
There was some good shifts. The game itself we were good in the first, and then it got really sloppy after that. It was tough to evaluate everybody. And then certainly with the defense having to go to 5D, it kind of made it tough on those guys. It just was a sloppy game. We'll just write this one off. I don't think I'll look at it again. So.
As the stretch gone on heading to the President's Trophy, have you gotten any texts or phone calls from Washington, your old buddies from those times about it all?
There might have been a couple, yeah, but there was a little bit more. There was a lot more that had to do with some guy number 8 down there. So, but yeah, no, there was a couple things flying back and forth, but they were in the same boat. They've won, I think they won 2, maybe 3 already. So they've been down that road. It wasn't something that that was number 1 in their mind either.
Have you had a chance to zoom out? Like, this is tough to ask. It's 3 and 4 that you just played travel, like you said, but this is your first year as head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, and you just won the President's Trophy. Is there any amount of that blows your mind a little bit?
I'm happy for the group. I'm happy that a lot of the things that we talked about in training camp, we accomplished. Obviously the President's Trophy wasn't one of them we talked about, but I'm real proud to be a part of this team. And but I still, like I said this morning, we're still going to be judged on what happens from game 83 on. So there's still lots to happen, and hopefully there's a long story to go with that, and it gets to be a 2.5 month long stories. But for me, I've been in the game a long time and know that you'd be proud of the accomplishments that you have, but move on to the next challenges, and that's what we're hoping to do.
I know you guys are focused in on the Stanley Cup. For you specifically, you've spent a lot of your life fueling, the hockey fans in the city of Winnipeg, and so to be part of something that delivers something that's going to live forever. What does it feel like for you to connect with fans and deliver that moment to them?
I'm real happy that I could be a part of it. Real proud to be a part of this team. I don't go on the ice. I open the door. I kind of put people together and put them out on the ice. the players are the ones that are doing most of that. Obviously, almost all the heavy lifting, and it's just it's fun to be a part of. This is a great group. But it almost sounds like I'm having a speech at the end of the year. I'm not done yet, so we need to talk a lot more. Hopefully this will, like I said, last a lot longer. We've done some great things, and I still think we can do a lot more.
Can I just have one clarifying on Rasmus?
He never came out. He's not set to go yet. So
thank you.
Yep, thanks.
There he goes, Scott Arniel tonight. That's his post-game media availability. Big thanks to Colby Spence. He usually brings that to us live, but tonight with my tardiness, he was able to record it and throw it up on the YouTube channel. And so you can find that on our Illegal Curve YouTube channel if you want to watch it again. Jets head coach Scott Arniel, acknowledging the accomplishment, not satisfied that this is the end of the story for the Winnipeg Jets this year, which I'm sure everybody appreciates hearing. As it's sort of funny, as I was listening to Scott Arniel there and talk about the accomplishment and talk about what the Jets have done this year. We've talked a lot about Connor Hellebuyck, surefire, should be unanimous Vezina Trophy winner. We talked a lot about Connor Hellebuyck, Hart Trophy, should be nominee, should be winner.
Yep.
Let's talk about Jack Adams and Scott Arniel. Do you think that changes now that the Jets have clinched the President's Trophy?
Possibly, yeah. I think, Drew, you would agree that at the very least, he's in the conversation, right? Or should be one of the finalists.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look, it's his first year as head coach of the Jets, and he wins the President's Trophy. Like, that's insane. Yeah. And, he's a guy that's been around the league a lot, mainly as an assistant or associate coach. But I think the fact that the Jets got off to the 15-1 start, had some very minor blips, a few losing streaks here and there, but they were not long losing streaks. The fact that he kept this team in first place in the Central, first place in the West, and first place in the league for the majority of the season, I think is very impressive. I mean, Jim Montgomery obviously is a guy, Drew, that you have to look at as like, if the St. Louis Blues make the playoffs, Jim Montgomery at the very least should be a Jack Adams finalist. Just what he did with that team, turning the team around after he took it over, right? So I think Jim Montgomery's a guy. And what about Marty St. Louis? I mean, I don't think a lot of people. Again, I'm not saying. Look, if you're asking me, I think Scott Arniel. I mean, I don't have a say in this, but I'm biased. So yes, I do think Scott Arniel deserves the Jack Adams Trophy. I'm just saying Jim Montgomery, Marty St. Louis. There's other guys.
Spencer Carberry in Washington. Right? So it's not. It's put it this way. I don't think Scott Arniel is the runaway favorite, but I think you could make the argument that he is the favorite. Oh, it's interesting. It's something that really isn't talked about. That trophy. I'd say there's 5 probably front runners for it, or 5 people. There'd be Carberry. There'd be obviously Scott Arniel. You mentioned Jim Montgomery. I'd say Travis Green in Ottawa.
Yeah, I think he's in the conversation for sure.
Ottawa's all of a sudden they're in the first wild card spot. Marty St. Louis. I would think it would be of those 5 players. I mean, nobody else in the West would really be what I don't think anybody else in the West is coming to the forefront there.
No.
In terms of the winner. Anyways, it's just sort of interesting.
I mean, Jared Bednar's done a great job in Colorado, but I don't.
Colorado's where you expected Colorado to be.
Exactly. I don't think Jared Bednar is going to be a Jack Adams finalist. I think
maybe Dean Evison if Columbus sneaks in, but I mean, I think whoever gets the final, if Montreal
is Columbus not eliminated? I thought Columbus was eliminated.
No. Columbus won tonight. They've won 4 in a row now. So mathematically, if Montreal were to lose out and Columbus were to win out, then Columbus would get the final wild card spot. So Montreal's still in need of at least. I
don't know why I thought Montreal had clinched, Drew. I thought they'd clinched.
No, they have 88 points. With 2 games to play. Columbus has 85 points with 2 games to play as well. So, again, Montreal needs a victory. Let me look quickly. I can tell you who Montreal plays. I'm not even sure if they play. I think it's Tuesday night. Montreal, yeah. So tomorrow night, there's really no games of any. Pardon me. Montreal plays at home to Chicago tomorrow night. So if the Habs I mean,
Hey, Chicago just gave the Jets a run for their money.
They did. You know what? Chicago's got nothing to lose by any stretch of the imagination. So Chicago is at Montreal tomorrow night. Montreal can clinch as early as tomorrow night. Columbus, if they somehow lose to Chicago, Columbus has Philadelphia on Tuesday night, and then Montreal has. Hang on, let me see Montreal's got Carolina on Wednesday night. And Columbus has on Thursday night. Who does Columbus have on Thursday night? They have the Islanders. Again, Montreal's got the opportunity if they shouldn't choke it away. Stranger things have happened, of course, but they shouldn't. They should be able to beat. The Habs should be able to beat Chicago on home ice tomorrow night.
Yes, and then it's over, and then they clinch their playoff spot. So yeah, I mean, yes, if Columbus finds a way to get in, then absolutely Dean Evason, I think, deserves some Jack Adams votes, but it's at the end of the day, whether Scott Arniel wins the Jack Adams or not, he's going to be a finalist most likely, and he's done an excellent job with this team, right? Because there was some uncertainty, right? Like, he hadn't been a head coach in a while. His first go around with Columbus was not successful. Yeah, and we've obviously had Scott Arniel on the show before, and we've run into him, several times over the years. He is a class act. Like, a lot of people are talking about him. He's a genuine guy. Like, he's a hockey guy, and he's done an excellent job. And the thing that has stood out to me maybe the most about this year is you can tell that the players love playing for him. Like, that's genuine. When these guys, whether it's Adam Lowry, whether it's Dylan Samberg, whoever on the Jets, you've heard from these guys that, they really like Scott Arniel and also the revamping of the coaching staff, right? Dean Chenoweth, bringing in Davis Payne, one of the top power plays in the league, right? Like, the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for, again, not only the good start, the hot start that the Jets got out to in the first 16 games, but they've maintained that pace. They've had a few losses here and there, but I mean, 55 wins in 81 games speaks for itself.
Yeah. No question about it. Let's go to break. We'll take our one and only commercial break. And when we come back, a little bit more on the Jets-Oilers game tonight, more so on the Jets President's Trophy winners for the 24-25 NHL season. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. It continues on this special edition on this Sunday night here on our YouTube channel.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now, you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumor's incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg with you, talking about the Winnipeg Jets, President's Trophy winners with the Columbus Blue Jackets defeating the Washington Capitals. That made the result of the Jets-Oilers game irrelevant, and the Jets, of course, ended up losing that contest, but winning the President's Trophy for the top team, or as the top team in the NHL this season. A great accomplishment. It was. I know you're sort of a golf guy, Ezzy. Did you watch any of the Masters?
I did. No, I'm a golf guy. I mean, I'm not as big of a golf guy as you are, but yes, I did. I was watching it earlier.
Yeah.
And Rory had, I think he was it 6-stroke lead or a 5-stroke lead on DeChambeau, and who obviously tailed off big time. Also, shout out to Corey Connors, who finished 8th. I realized he wanted to finish a little bit higher than that, but always nice to see a Canuck finish in the top 10 at the Masters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've always, I mean, Rory McIlroy to me is like the type of player that it's hard to not like him, right? Like there's not a lot, at least,
again, I mean,
it was pretty awesome the way it
was
finished.
a roller coaster today.
Yes.
I mean, I'm so glad he ended up winning, because had he not won, I don't know how he recovers from not winning when it was there for the taking tonight. And I'm so glad he won in the playoff. And then the outpouring of emotion, you could see the release that he felt when his birdie putt in the playoff finally dropped. And I know this has nothing to do with hockey at all, but it was pretty, it's one of those things that transcended the sport that we're talking about. It was more of a human moment than anything else.
No, absolutely. And if you didn't bring it up, Drew, I was going to bring it up because I mean, the Masters, as you know, I mean, it's a huge deal. And there's a lot of crossover between golf and hockey. A lot of hockey players golf in the off season. And once in a while we share a few beers and get out there on the links as well. But yeah, I mean, just awesome. And you got to just love the way it ends. Like Rory said, okay, this isn't going to be a multiple hole playoff round here. I'm going to end this on hole 18. So it was pretty incredible.
First playoff hole, and he wins it with a birdie. It's always good when you see a guy win it with a birdie. Justin Rose obviously pars the 18th, which is, usually the 18th at Augusta is not typically a birdie hole. And so Rory is able to dial it in, get that amazing approach shot, and then sink the birdie putt. And it was great to see. It was,
and then afterwards he got really teared up.
Well, he just
when he was talking
to the ground, and then he was holding.
But after like during the jacket presentation, when he was talking about his parents from Northern Ireland, right, and how he was excited to celebrate with them. So I mean, you just love to see that. Like you mentioned, I'm not somebody who I don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. Right. I wasn't in any pools. Usually I go in like 1 or 2 pools for like $5 or $10 at work or something like that. But I mean, I've always just admired Rory. He's just he's a classy guy.
It was great to see. So I wanted to bring that up. And before we go tonight, just a question. What do we do with Bailey for creating this?
Well, we thank her because this is phenomenal. I mean, Drew,
this is Dave, Ezzy, and I as Simpsons characters.
Yeah, and I guess this was ChatGPT that Bailey used here, I'm assuming, or some type of program that makes us into Simpsons characters. It's pretty accurate, to be honest with you, Drew. Like, I think I look a little bit slimmer than maybe I do in real life. But certainly, you look bang on right there.
It looks a lot like me and Dave. I thought it could use a little bit more work. I don't think it captures your joie de vivre.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
I think it's really the beard. The beard isn't big enough.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the beard not quite being big enough. But my favorite part about all this is that so we tweeted it out, of course, after Bailey sent it to us on Twitter, and then our buddy Craig Button also retweeted it, which I thought was terrific. Is that Craig is getting on board with it as well.
I think there's also something that you're glossing over a little bit. that hair of Dave M's a little grayer than I think he would like. But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks to Bailey, we've been having fun with this. Someone turned us into Muppets, and now
Yeah.
Bailey's turned us into The Simpsons. So I don't know what's next, like Family Guy or King of the Hill. I'm not sure what sitcom is next, but yeah, it's all good fun. I love it. I mean, I was gonna say we grew up with The Simpsons, in the 90s and everything like that, so it's pretty fun.
Anyways, it was a fun little way, I thought, to end tonight's post-game show. A historic night in Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets are the 24-25 President's Trophy winners as the top NHL team for the regular season, an accomplishment never before seen at the NHL level here in Winnipeg. We remind everybody, if you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn your notifications on, and tell your friends and tell your family that the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, before every Winnipeg Jets home playoff game, and again on Saturday mornings, is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. There's a ton of us coming your way starting next week, and we want you to be here with us. We appreciate you've been here through 81 regular season games. We got game 82 coming up on Wednesday, and then the fun really starts with the playoffs, and we're looking forward to that and bringing it to you and covering it in its entirety for however long the playoff run will last for the Winnipeg Jets.
Sorry, Drew, before we wrap up here, I think it would be pretty funny if the Ducks have already beat the Jets twice this year. I think it would be pretty funny if the Ducks end up beating the Jets 3 times and they only have 23 losses on the season.
Right.
Like it would just be like a freak stat.
Yeah, the Jets lose 23 games all season long, and 3 of those are to one of the absolute worst teams in the NHL. It would be sort of funny. That's you can't predict puck, I believe, is what the expression would be at that point in time.
I think the Jets win on Wednesday, by the way.
It's also the second half of a back-to-back for Anaheim. They're in Minnesota the night before.
Yeah, Jets are going to take care of
playing out the string. That's what Anaheim's been doing since probably mid-January.
The Jets Moose hybrid are going to take care of the Ducks / San Diego Gulls.
Exactly. A lot of hybrid teams at this point in the NHL season. A big thanks to all of you. A big thanks to our sponsors. They make the post-game show, the Saturday show, the website a possibility. Of course, Play Now, they're the title sponsor. Holt Dental, they're a huge sponsor of ours. Very important. Big thanks to Dr. Jonathan Holt and the team at Holt Dental for their support all season long. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Sean Lecumber at Rumors this coming week. Very few tickets remaining. A few of the shows already sold out. Get them, rumorscomedyclub.com. Play Now, they're the title sponsor. Boston Pizza will be there for a road game come playoff time. Details still to come once the schedule's finalized. City Place, and of course our friends at Seagram's support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're next in action on Wednesday night. We look forward to that, game number 82. We remind everybody to check out the website, illegalcurve.com. And in case you missed any of the program, it's available on the YouTube channel, the instant replay, and of course the podcast will be available a little bit later on. Thanks everyone for joining us on your Sunday evening. For Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.